A simple-sounding comment, a short phrase, a vague answer. But when it comes from the right person at the right moment, everything changes. Because when Adam Schefter speaks, the NFL stops to listen. And this time, he didn't announce anything. He didn't confirm anything. He didn't reveal anything. But he left something in the air that was far more powerful, the feeling that something big is about to happen in Philadelphia. And it wasn't about the offensive coordinator. It was more than that. And when someone like Schefter drops a line like that on live radio, with no context, no explanation, no follow-up, that isn't accidental. That's a signal. That's coded messaging. That's the inside world leaking out through silence. It all happened during his weekly appearance on 97.5 The Fanatic, on the morning show with Andrew Salciunas and John Kincaid. A normal conversation, routine segment, standard sign-off. Until, in the closing moments, a casual comment is made. Maybe next week we'll already be reacting to the Eagles hiring their new offensive coordinator. And Schefter responds, maybe it'll be even more than that. Silence. Confusion. And then the questions start, more than that, how? Are you talking about a trade? Are you talking about A.J. Brown? What exactly do you mean? And Schefter doesn't explain. He simply repeats, maybe it'll be more than that. We'll see what happens next week. That kind of comment is not random. Adam Schefter doesn't throw words into the air. He doesn't create expectation without reason. He doesn't plant narratives without substance. When he hints at something, it's because information is circulating. Conversations are happening behind the scenes. There is real smoke, even if the fire isn't visible yet. And that's where things start getting dangerous for the Eagles. Because the timing of this comment couldn't be worse. The franchise is already in a period of instability. It's already in transition on offense. It's coming off a frustrating playoff exit. It's facing internal questions. It's dealing with locker room tension. It's surrounded by rumors of trades, staff changes, structural shifts, and project redefinition. Now add to that a vague statement from Schefter suggesting something bigger is coming. That doesn't create curiosity. It creates anxiety. It doesn't create debate. It creates speculation. It doesn't create calm. It creates organizational paranoia. Because when the biggest insider in the NFL hints at something major and refuses to explain it, the entire league starts building scenarios. And that's exactly what's happening now. The first scenario that starts circulating is the most explosive one. A possible move involving Nick Sirianni himself. Not a direct firing, not a clean dismissal, but something even more delicate. A potential trade. It sounds absurd at first, but it's not completely outside modern NFL logic. Howie Roseman did something unusual right after the season ended. He publicly praised Sirianni without being prompted. That's rare. Executives don't do that on impulse. They do it when there's noise, when pressure is building, when a negative narrative is forming. At the same time, the Las Vegas Raiders still haven't finalized their head coach situation, and their front office has multiple connections to the Eagles organization. People who know Sirianni, people who know Roseman, people who understand the internal culture. Trading a head coach isn't common, but it's not impossible. Especially when a franchise doesn't want the political fallout of a direct firing, but also feels a need to change direction. Is it unlikely? Yes, but it's not unthinkable. Another scenario that quickly surfaces is retirement, and the name that immediately comes up is Lane Johnson. A Lane Johnson retirement would be a seismic event, both on the field and symbolically. One of the pillars of the modern Eagles era, one of the locker room leaders, one of the faces of the franchise's identity. A departure at that level isn't just news, it's a cultural rupture. And if something like that were being prepared behind the scenes, it would make perfect sense for Schefter to treat it as something bigger than an offensive coordinator. But there's another path that's even more sensitive, a blockbuster trade. And here, inevitably, the name A.J. Brown resurfaces. There are already rumors. There are already public tensions. There are already discussions about fit, internal climate, relationships with the coaching staff, financial impact, and offensive structure. A move involving A.J. Brown would be one of the biggest earthquakes of the NFL offseason, not just because of his talent, but because of what he represents inside the franchise. It would send a direct message: no one is untouchable. Another possible scenario is a massive contract extension. The Eagles have young stars they want to secure long-term. A mega deal could be in negotiation behind the scenes. and a contract of that magnitude would also be major news. But there's an important detail here. Schefter doesn't tease contracts. He announces them when they're done. He doesn't hint. He doesn't suggest. He reports. The fact that he's hinting at something big without naming it suggests it isn't finalized yet. It's moving. It's being negotiated. It's being built. And that makes it even more unsettling. There's also the least dramatic possibility. Absolutely nothing. It could be speculation, overinterpretation, a throwaway comment, a misread moment, a total nothing burger. But Schefter's history doesn't allow this to be treated as empty noise. When he leaves something hanging in the air, it's because something real is being discussed. And what makes it more volatile is the emotional state of the fan base. Philadelphia is sensitive right now. The fan base is emotionally charged. There's accumulated frustration. There's a sense of wasted talent. There's fear of misdirection. There's anxiety for answers. Any hint becomes a trigger. Any silence becomes fuel. Any phrase becomes a theory. And now, the fan base is in a position where they don't know what's coming, but they know something is coming. And that changes everything. The offensive coordinator search suddenly feels small. The offseason stops being technical and becomes structural. Decisions stop being adjustments and become redefinitions. And the question circulating behind the scenes is no longer, who will be the new OC? It's, what are the Eagles really preparing? Because when major changes happen in the NFL, they almost never happen alone. They come in chains. One decision pulls another. One move unlocks others. One trade creates a domino effect. One exit reshapes the entire roster architecture. One hire redefines philosophy. And when someone like Adam Schefter suggests something bigger is coming, the subtext is clear. This isn't a piece. It's structure. It's not an adjustment. It's direction. It's not a detail. It's a project. Right now, no one knows exactly what it is, but everyone feels that something is moving. In the hallways, in the offices, in internal meetings, in private conversations, in the franchise's inner circle, and that alone is already news. Because when an organization like the Eagles enters silent transformation mode, the impact is never small. The franchise's history proves that. The biggest shifts never came with announcements. They came with signals, vague phrases, quiet movements, internal noise, and then shock. Maybe next week nothing happens. Maybe it fades. Maybe it dissolves. Maybe it's just another rumor cycle. But maybe, and this maybe, is what changes everything. This is the beginning of a real structural shift inside the franchise. And when that kind of change starts, it's never limited to one job. It redefines leadership. It reshapes hierarchy. It alters power structures. It changes direction. And it transforms the future of an organization. Adam Schefter didn't say what it is, but he made one thing clear. It's not small. And when something isn't small in the NFL, it's because something big is being prepared.